Good morning, everyone. It's Go Local Boom Radio here on 1050 KTBL. I'm your host, Krista Benavides with Chispas Performance Solutions. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. Go Local Boom Radio is where we celebrate all things local in New Mexico by getting to know the people behind the businesses and organizations in our communities. You can find us here every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. right here on 1050 KTBL and 1050talk.com. Be sure to visit us online at golocalboom.com and like and share us on Facebook. This segment is brought to you in part by Richard Quintana, the mortgage guy at CMG Financial. For all your residential mortgage needs, give him a call at 505-985-5113 or email at rquintana@cmgfi.com. My first guest this morning is Marissa Nordstrom with Lucy Bello. Welcome to the show, Marissa.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. So tell our listeners what Lucy Bello is all about.
Well, basically, it's a business, if you will, that's aimed at introverted people or people that have introverted tendencies where they need peace and quiet to really recharge or to be able to think clearly. And so my inspiration kind of came from Meow Wolf, ironically, and kind of coming up with what would it be like if you designed kind of the opposite of Meow Wolf? So instead of being, psychedelic and constant stimulation and almost, overwhelming, you designed spaces people could actually park in and spend time in, and the whole place was quiet with no noise and no interruptions. And so that's what I've done, is just created this new space for the world so that introverts can feel welcomed and at home and nurtured.
I love that idea. When you first announced it with your first event, what was it? It's been a couple months now?
It was in January. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 4 months. I was really excited about it because I'm one of those people. I'm more of an introvert than I am an extrovert. And people often say, what? You're a professional speaker. You're on the radio. How can you be an introvert?
Yes, exactly. That's me too. My job is community relations. And yet after certain events and so forth, it's like I don't want to talk to anybody for 2 days.
Right.
And so I just noticed a lot of people go from kind of like noisy, stimulating house to noisy office to noisy restaurant to noisy gym. And they just have nowhere where, it's quiet and they can actually gather their thoughts and feel, peaceful and just check out for a little bit.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, and the fact that you've put so much thought into, because I've talked to people that did go to your first event, and there was a lot of thought, they said, put into the environment. It wasn't just a small library, for example. There was a lot of thought that you put into in terms of creating that space so that the environment itself was also nurturing but not overstimulating and all of that. So why don't you paint a picture for us, for our listeners, about what the space looked like for the last pop-up event that you had.
Well, essentially it is like an art installation that you can spend time in. And the whole intention of the space is to be, what I call positive intentional disorientation, kind of like what you get when you travel to, say, a beautiful place like Hawaii, where you're out of your normal environment. It's beautiful. You feel connected to life and it just feels good. And I noticed that even places we go to for medical care or whatever are not what I would consider a healing space. So when I created these little rooms that people spend time in, they each have a theme, but they're kind of unconventional themes. So it might be like a library in a forest or a desk in a greenhouse or kind of a hammock beach area or a meditation, looking out at a seascape. And the idea is to be transporting and yet at the same time really comforting and safe. And so it's a mixture of art and I suppose just, quiet, beautiful environment. A lot of people said that they just appreciated being in such a beautiful space and then not having any responsibility for anything. Like they didn't have to clean, they didn't have to straighten up, nobody was interrupting them, and they just felt like, a VIP kind of, because it's just so beautiful and calming.
That's excellent. And so share with our listeners how you came up with the idea for the pop-up, because I know as we were talking and as I was looking over your information, it was that idea of how you could launch the business without the huge commitment that often comes with launching a business.
Yes, for sure. This is definitely considered a startup. I've been peripherally involved with the entrepreneurial community for 10 or 15 years here in Albuquerque. And I've tried lots of different ideas, and I went to the Women's Startup Weekend. And so I have some familiarity with this idea of bootstrapping and prototyping and all that. And I was talking to someone I know from ABQID, and she said, your idea, my vision is so big. She said, you really have to pick one piece of it that you can test to see if it's really what you think and if it will resonate with people. So I said, okay, I totally understand that. So I think I might do this. And then she said, coincidentally, we just moved out of our office space and you could test your idea in that space. And I almost fell out of my chair because this was just before New Year's Day. And I went from an idea on a flip chart to just instant action and, coming up with how exactly I would prototype it, figuring out how to make walls. I found a place with 8-foot sheets of cardboard and Gorilla Tape and just kind of went to town. And so literally, TJ Cook, who's the executive director of ABQID, he's like, this is rapid prototyping at its finest. Cause you walked in and it was everything. How do I say it? It was like so well put together that you didn't initially realize it was made out of cardboard.
That's great.
And people forgot about that whole aspect of it because it just came together really well. So long story short, that went so well. And the surveys I took from people were so positive that I thought, okay, they were clamoring for me right then to do a permanent location. And I still feel I need to test a few elements about what I'm doing. So that's why I'm doing a second pop-up before I commit to a lease or something like that.
So tell us about that. Do you have dates for that? Do you have a location? Let our listeners know so that they can have the opportunity to experience it.
Well, I will say that I'm very close, I hope, to some dates in May. I was just talking with a landlord yesterday north of downtown, so I can't say yet. But if people go to www.lucybello.com, you can sign up for emails, and then I'll let everybody know. And I also have a Facebook page. So I'm hoping it will be the last 2 weeks of May. And then what I do is I just schedule different time slots that people can sign up for, or they can get a VIP pass that allows them to drop into any of the slots. Because typically people go for 2 hours or a little bit less. And that's kind of how it works.
Excellent. Well, listeners, if you're just tuning in, my guest this morning is Marissa Nordstrom with Lucy Bello, and she is testing. She is in the great phase of startup and in her new business idea. And it's a pop-up idea where she creates these nurturing, for lack of a better word, and I think that's accurate, spaces for people, particularly those that are a little more on the introverted side and want a place to escape so that they can get work done or just be by themselves for a certain amount of time. So she was just sharing that in May. She's looking at the last couple of weeks in May, so you can sign up give us the website again.
It's lucybello.com, so LUCYBELLO.com.
And you can get the email and be included in all the information about the next events.
And there's a video on there because the first pop-up was so much work and effort, and it came together so well that I actually hired a videographer to come in and make a video of the space. And I have some professional photos on there by Kyle Zimmerman that give you a real sense of what it's like to spend time there, kind of evokes the feeling, so to speak.
Nice. Mm-hmm. And so is there a phone number that people can also contact you if they have questions? Because this is such a new idea that they might just want to contact you. 505-235-0912 is probably the best number. Okay, and then, of course, on Facebook. And so for your first event, what are the types of people that ended up going and taking advantage of the opportunity?
Well, it really was wide-ranging. Everything from, stay-at-home moms to people who own their own businesses and either have an office or work from home. And then I also had a number of people I know from healthcare that came. And essentially what people most, I think, enjoyed about it was that even if they felt relatively relaxed when they went in, every single person that took the survey was more relaxed when they left. Like they looked like they went to the spa. And it was really amazing. It was wonderful to see. So I think honestly it could be just for anyone who, like I say, recharges with quiet. The only people that didn't get it were a few truly extroverted people who couldn't follow the rules and didn't quite get it. And so I will say this, like one of the introverted people said, wow, this is the first place I've ever been where I felt like it was designed for me. And they just felt so at home and so, welcomed and cared for. So that's my caution.
I love that. And I can imagine, an extrovert would just be thinking, I'm going to go pop over here and see what this person thinks.
It's not therapy for extrovert people. It's really just more designed for the introvert. So.
That's fun. I love that. And so, folks, again, if you're interested in Marissa's next pop-up event, go to lucybello.com for more information, or you can give her a call at 505-235-0912. So thank you so very much for being on the show this morning. I'm excited to hear about your next event.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And hopefully, this is the beginning of Lucy Bello International or something, and it all started here. So I'm really excited to, use my connections in Albuquerque to help get this launched to the world.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely have you back on as you have other events and as you grow, because I'm sure you're going to be growing.
Yes. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back with our next guest. It's Go Local Boom here on 1050 KTBL. Good morning and welcome back. It's Go Local Boom Radio here on 1050 KTBL. I'm Krista Benavides with Chispas Performance Solutions. This segment is brought to you in part by Chispas Performance Solutions. Chispas Performance Solutions works with businesses and organizations to reduce the cost of doing business caused by ineffective or inadequate communication. We do this by providing customized on-site classes, conference keynote presentations, and breakout sessions, and much more. Schedule your free consultation today at chispusperformancesolutions.com or call 505-899-9130. My next guest this morning is Lorraine L. with Better Money Decisions. Welcome to the show, Lorraine.
Well, thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on the show because it's money time, right?
Yes.
People are getting their tax refunds and so forth and might be getting some bad advice about what to do with it. So share with us what you do at Better Money Decisions.
Okay. We're a registered investment advisory firm, and we help people plan for retirement and to make the best use of their money so that they can live the life they want. And that's the philosophy of the firm, and that's what we help people do.
Excellent. And so just the whole idea about dealing with money, I think sometimes fall into the category of what not to talk about. Just like people are raised about don't talk about religion or politics. It seems like somewhere down the road, people put money into that category and as a result are either uneducated, poorly educated, or just confused.
That's true. And I think that it's the kind of topic that when you mention finance or how to invest, a lot of times you get that deer in the headlight look because people aren't that interested and they think, oh, it's math, it's very complicated. But actually, it's something that is easy to access if you find the right person to help you. Now, I do think that you don't want it to be a do-it-yourself project because it is complicated and it has a lot of moving parts that you have to be aware of. But if you find the right advisor to work with, it can be so easy and it can really make a tremendous difference into the future so that you can retire and have the kind of life you want to live.
Absolutely. So before we get into the main reason why you're here, your book, give folks your contact information.
Oh, sure. You can reach me at wecanhelp@bettermoneydecisions.com or you can call 844-507-0961 and talk to any of our advisors on that phone. So those are both two ways to contact us.
Excellent. So, folks, you all are going to love the title of this book, and Lorraine's going to tell us more about it. But the title of her new book is called Bozos, Monsters, and Whiz-Bangs. Bad advice from financial advisors and how to avoid it. I love that title.
Thank you. I really wanted the title to represent the kind of book it is. And it's a very accessible book. It is full of true stories, true anecdotes from clients who have come to me over the years with their horror stories about how they experience certain advice and advisors. And so I put them together in a little collection of how to and what to do and what to look for, because you can really get down the wrong path with who you use to help you make those financial decisions.
Well, and I haven't read the book yet because, you were so kind to bring me a copy. But folks, you are going to be entertained, I can tell you right now. But listen to the names of the chapters. Nurse Betty and the Burger Flipper. When we met Harry and Sally, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I mean, just the titles
right.
of the chapters are entertaining. So if a book about money and financial advice can be entertaining before you even get into the content, that's a really good sign.
I hope so. That was the goal. And I wanted it to be a book that someone who is not maybe particularly interested in finance or does not have a lot of experience with it can still read it and glean some valuable information from it, because it's critically important to pick the right advisor for you. And it just doesn't mean going to the, closest one down the street. It's really a matter of taking the time to interview people and make sure that you have a good rapport with the person that you're entrusting your future to, really.
Right.
Yeah.
And so for people out there that either have their advisor already or might be looking for one, what are some quick tips that you could give them right now that would give them a place to start with that interviewing process, or even just the analysis process of who they have now to see if they're really a good fit?
Right. I think it's important to understand the distinction between an advisor who is a fiduciary, and that means that advisor must act in your best interest, versus someone who is just a financial planner or a stockbroker, and they have a much lower standard. They have to abide by what's called a suitability standard. So you may ask your advisor, even if you have a current one, are you a fiduciary, and are you acting in my best interests at all times? But I think one of the first things to consider when you're looking for an advisor and going to different places is to see what they talk about when you first meet them. So often you'll walk into an advisor's office and they start, and it's blah, 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 all about their firm, who they are, how important they are, what they've done, what credentials they have. And you're sitting there saying, wait a moment, I came for you to talk about me. So, really, the first thing an advisor should say when you come in is, how can I help? What are your concerns? What's your purpose? What do you want this money to be able to do for you? And that's a very good distinguishing view, that if they have that approach, that it's about you and not about them, that's a good place to start.
Right. That's a really excellent point. And I think really that advice or that recommendation could be applied to pretty much anyone you're going to hire to bring into your life, whether it's about money decisions or medical decisions, right, or your home, mortgage, real estate, whatever it might be. That whole idea of how can I serve you?
That's correct.
And then being quiet and listening.
That's right. And listening is the big skill that a lot of advisors, because this is the kind of industry where people can get a little bit full of themselves and think very highly of themselves. And so you find that those advisors tend not to consider, wait a moment, I'm here to help the person in front of me, to make better money decisions or financial decisions for their lives. And that's what's critical.
Right. Well, folks, if you're just tuning in, my guest for this segment is Lorraine L. She's with Better Money Decisions, and in a moment she's going to talk more about her book, Bozos, Monsters, and Whizbangs, Bad Advice from Financial Advisors and How to Avoid It. But she was just sharing a few tips on how to either assess your current financial advisor or planner or what to take into account as you're looking for a new one. And the main point was that idea of what does that person say when you first enter their office? Is it about them and them giving you their spiel? Or is it about them asking you, how may I serve you? And then being quiet and listening. So let's get back to your book. So share with us, I don't know if you want to read from it or if you have a particular story that you want to share with us about, one of the, maybe the doozies that just sticks out and you think of first when you're thinking about bad advice that your clients have told you they've received?
Yeah. Well, the first story is about Nurse Betty. And obviously the names have been changed to protect the innocent because, and even some of the characteristics of the personalities. The stories are true, however. And this person came to us with a 6-inch stack high of confirmations. And a confirmation is something that you get when you buy and sell a stock or a mutual fund in an account. And she came in and she said, I don't understand a thing this guy's saying to me. And she had all of these trades. Now, if someone is over trading your account, that's called churning. And it's really not a good thing. That is not the way. She said, I keep losing money even though the market's going up. And the fact is that when someone is going in and out of and trading too frequently in your account, that not only creates a tax problem for you because you have short-term gains, but it's not really the best way to put your money to use for the future. And it turned out that her advisor had been a manager at Applebee's just a couple of years prior to that. And so the flipping burgers and flipping stocks is a comparison that I make in the book.
Oh, wow. How unfortunate. Well, it's good, though, that she found you.
Well, it is. And we've really put her on a path to, financial success and happiness in the future. But we see these kinds of things all the time. And stories such as this. I mean, Engineer Bill is another one in the book. And he came to us because he was trying to follow the advice of a television guru. The guy that clangs the bells and throws the chairs and booyah or something like this, whatever. But he said, I'm trying to follow his stock picks and I keep losing money. And he said, but he's on TV. He must be legit, right? And so the thing is, when you look at advice from a media guru, it's not that it's bad advice, but they don't know you. They do not know what's right for you. And it's important to keep this in mind, which is why my first comment about, finding an advisor who's going to listen to what you need and what your desires are for the future is what's critically important. So it may be fun to watch some of these at CNBC on TV and some of the other stations, but don't really take your personal financial advice from them. That's the message to that story.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's probably commendable, actually, that we do watch those shows. Yeah. I say we, just generally speaking, because I happen to not, but because then we can use that information to go to a person like you and say, I saw this on XYZ show. What are your thoughts?
Right.
Tell me more about it. Help me understand this. Because I think there is that point about being a responsible consumer. Some people may not want to know and they just say to you, Lorraine, here, handle this, and I trust you and I don't want to hear anything about it. Other people might want to have some moderate level of interaction with you. And so being able to watch those shows, but then take the information to you, their personal expert, versus then just going directly like that one person, the engineer, was doing.
Right.
No, trying to make decisions.
You're right. I mean, I think it's not that it's bad information. It's not that it can't be helpful, but to take that and apply it to your own circumstance, you may not have the right kind of insight to make the best decision about it. So it's good to have base information, but not have following them, to the letter of the law, so to speak. And that, of course, can lead you down the wrong path.
Absolutely.
So that's the message there.
Absolutely. Well, we have about a minute and a half left in the segment, so let us get your contact information one more time in case people missed it at the beginning of the segment.
Sure. Our website is bettermoneydecisions.com, and there's a lot of valuable information on that site. You can email us at wecanhelp@bettermoneydecisions.com, or you can call at 844-507-0961, and we're happy to set up a free consultation with you and see if we can help you prepare for the future.
Excellent. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, and I am really excited about reading your book. And so we'll have to have you back in the future and get some updates.
I'd be happy to do that.
Probably for your next book, I imagine.
That's right. Well, there's another one in the works.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. Well, folks, you've been listening to Lorraine L. with Better Money Decisions. We'll be right back with our next guest. You're listening to Go Local Boom here on 1050 KTBL. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. It's Go Local Boom Radio. I'm your host, Krista Benavides with Chispas Performance Solutions. You're listening here on 1050 KTBL. This segment is brought to you in part by the Aceves Group, your residential real estate professionals. Contact them at 505-270-2662. My final guest this morning is Tayloria Grant with One Full Life. Welcome to the show, Tayloria.
Thanks. I'm so glad to be here.
So tell us what One Full Life is all about.
Yeah, so One Full Life is actually a personal development company, but as a success coach and brand strategist, I really utilize my background of digital marketing, social media to help professionals and entrepreneurs become industry leaders, really online. If they want, how do they stand out? So that is a big part of giving them practical tools as well as, building confidence, but also just showing them how do you navigate through social media? How do you use email marketing to really build a platform and ultimately have a global life that you love.
So give people your contact information, because I know with that introduction, people are probably already interested and want to learn more. So give us and their listeners your contact information.
Yes, well, my website is actually onefulllife.com, but I have to say I love Instagram. So if we have any listeners on there that are Instagram, it's just One Full Life Tayloria, Tayloria. And then on Facebook, it's One Full Life as well. So I'd love to connect with listeners and see how I can help.
All right. So you mentioned a little bit about your background. So give our listeners some insight into your background and how you went from that to where you are now.
Great question. Particularly with the name One Full Life. It's funny because even in high school, I've had the motto, live life to the fullest. Life happened. My background, actually 20 plus years in marketing and public relations, particularly for not-for-profit, government, and corporate. So fast forward, life happened. And for me, I became a mother. I was working long hours, missing out on my kid's life, but I also just felt like I was lacking something. I ended up becoming divorced and just not really feeling as fulfilled. So with that, I always helped companies that had limited budgets, marketing budgets, really maximize and stand out, or with their products, with their services, and even as professionals, training 4-star generals and doing Dallas Cowboy training camp. So when I took a leap of faith, I really wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do. But it all has come together where I've been able to utilize my marketing background and branding to help entrepreneurs to how do you maximize your budget? How do you build a social presence, and really just how do you soar? And so for me, it gives me a great sense of satisfaction, and I'm an online entrepreneur. So for other entrepreneurs who really have that type of business, they want to travel more. I'm an Italy addict. It's possible, and I love showing entrepreneurs and professionals how to do that.
So talk about the Italy experience, because that's one thing. One of these years, I don't know if it's going to be this year, but soon I want to be able to go with you on that, because I've heard about the last few trips, and so tell our listeners about that.
Well, probably as some listeners are saying, how does this really tie in? And so I guess just to take a quick step back, when I left corporate America, I did actually quit my job, and I went back to Italy. I had the opportunity to go to Italy when I was 16, and it was life changing, particularly growing up in poverty. You know, a lot of people think I'm always traveling as a speaker as well, but for me, it opened my eyes to a whole new opportunity for people and for myself. And fast forward, as I have been transitioning, I'm also a transitional speaker. I had a lot of women ask me, how do you do it? How can I, see the world? And I'm like, you can. But I found that they had some limitations or some fears. And so that's a big part of the trip I do once a year for a very small group of women to have an intimate experience is how do you move past that comfort zone? How do you get past those fears, build confidence so that you can really live your dreams? So when we go, I will be, I guess now I am usually in Italy every 5 or 6 months. So back to, yes, your dreams can become possible. And I'm a mother. I mean, I'm a divorced mom. But with that, it is a different way of thinking. And so when we go, we do some things around mindset, but we have fun. We eat, we explore Italy like locals. And I'm normally in North Italy. This year we'll be in Venice, Bologna, as well as Florence. So for me, it's my happy place. And I speak Italian now. And have friends who become like family. So it really is my second home.
And so being able to tie that, you were talking about how you've tied that into your business. Are the people that join you typically clients, or are these people kind of that are an extension of your client base?
It varies. And so one of the common threads is the women who go usually have some kind of life changing event. I've had widows go, divorcees, maybe they've lost someone. That one person, it was her sister who was her travel companion, but also entrepreneurs, who want to see how can I leverage this. So some people, I think I'm just sitting on the beach, or going on these amazing wine tours, which sometimes I am, but it is also showing entrepreneurs. Sometimes it's a different way of thinking, with that, knowing things about Wi-Fi, or some days I work 12 hours, but then it is nice, during lunch to be able to go to the piazza and grab a cappuccino. So it is, teaching also just some practical ways that you can create a global life. I usually say the truth is before noon, I've already been in 12 countries, not 12, 4. Sometimes I wake up at 6 a.m., but no, usually about 4 countries by noon. But with that, I'm also not always physically there. And so that's been nice that, as you were asking, some people are clients, some have been networking, and some have just even found me like through Instagram and say, I want more. I want to, really learn how to be location independent, or, just experience life more fully.
Right. Well, folks, if you're just tuning in, my guest in this last segment is Tayloria Grant with One Full Life, and she was sharing her travel experiences, and in particular how she's been able to help her clients and people that contact her to live that full life by including travel into their lives if they want that, or how to be able to grow their business, and sharing her expertise as a marketing and branding professional from her corporate life, and has turned that into a business. And so you've been doing it on your own for how long now?
Yeah, so I got my business license in 2016, even though I quit and did some freelance work back in 2014. So about 4 years that I have been able to, really start to see who needs my services. That is a part of the branding that I really help with, and it's been part of my journey as well. What is my why? What is, an entrepreneur that's listening? Are they really clear on their target market, and who needs their services? So usually for that, like I said, yes, it's been a couple of years as a formal business, but it really has been extremely exciting to help people see how they can make more money, but utilize their marketing dollars and ultimately become the go-to industry expert.
And so for those that are listening that might be considering leaving their corporate or their regular job, quote unquote, either because they want to do something different before retirement, or are looking at retirement and are thinking what they want to do after it, what might be 1 or 2 suggestions you could give as they're contemplating that decision?
One thing I truly believe in is coaching. Yes, I'm a coach and a strategist, but I share that to say, I just was sharing with a group of women I'm working with last night, is just to something to think about. An athlete, the best athletes have a coach, not because they don't know the skill, but because they want something more. They want the expertise. Family is great, but often they don't have those tools or resources to give you. So that would be one of my first things, whether it's career coaching, if you're looking to, have a different job or transition, but really look for someone who is a good fit. It's not just, we really need that good fit. But that would be one of my key advices. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to get help. Oprah has at 1.5 coaches, and we probably know who some of those are, but it was Lisa Nichols, who's a speaker, who found that out. She had 3 coaches and went and hired 2 more. So I like to just say that when you look at very successful people, they're not afraid to get help, and they want the best help. So that would be my key advice to listeners who are in a transitional period is, what do you need? You might not know all the hows, but go ahead and get some help.
That's a great piece of advice. And I know for me, over the years and being in business for almost 20 years, I've had several coaches and they've served different purposes. Some are just to keep me accountable.
Exactly.
Others are there to crack the whip and say, okay, do X, Y, and Z, and why aren't you doing it? So, there are those people that can serve all those different purposes. And to be able to move forward, we definitely need someone else to help keep us accountable and to keep that forward movement.
I agree.
Excellent. Well, we've got about 2.5 minutes or so left in this segment. Yeah. So what else would you like to share with our listeners?
Well, I would like to extend as well, as we're talking about what do we possibly need, particularly for entrepreneurs, whether you're a speaker or a small business owner. But if you really are struggling, or maybe not really knowing how to use social media and digital marketing to build your online business or even a location independent business, that I offer a 20-minute free discovery session. And so that's something just really through the website you can go to. But it is just an opportunity for us to talk, because even as we talk about coaching, we want to make sure it's a good fit, that whether it's me or another resource, but particularly before you drop those, spend that money, let's make sure it's what you need. And so that's something I really would like to extend to the listeners. If they think, I'd like to get clear on my brand, I want to really learn how to navigate through social media, digital marketing, I may be the person that can help. So I think that is just one thing I wanted to share, here that I always have available. Also, too, I'll be releasing next week. A free ebook. And so again, back to creating easy and engaging social media posts. So those were 2 things I definitely wanted to share. And of course, if we have women listening that want to go to Italy, they can come as well.
They're already, I could feel it. I could feel the vibration that they are going to contact you just for the trip to Italy. So as we wrap up this segment, folks, you've been listening to Tayloria Grant with One Full Life, and she's offering a free 20-minute discovery session to find out if she, in fact, would be a coach for you or to help you get some guidance. And you can schedule that at onefulllife.com. You can also check her out on Instagram and on Facebook. She's everywhere, of course, as you would expect with somebody who has the expertise in digital marketing. And she and I have been talking about us getting together because we've met on more of a social level, but we have yet to talk more on a professional level. So I'm looking forward to being able to do that.
Yes. Well, thank you again. It has been so great. And I appreciate everything that Go Local Boom is doing, because when we talk about really elevating your platform and becoming an industry leader, it means a lot, to have that local contact and that local support to share, because we have so many great people here in Albuquerque that are changing the world.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, folks, stay tuned. I'll be right back with the show wrap up. It's Go Local Boom here on 1050 KTBL. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. It's Go Local Boom here on 1050 KTBL. I'm Krista Benavides with Chispas Performance Solutions. Thank you again for tuning in this morning. And we had a great lineup of guests this week, as we always do. And so first up, we had Marissa Nordstrom with Lucy Bello. And she has come up with this great idea and is testing out this idea of creating space for the more introverted people who may not be able to get away from their normal work or home environments to be able to recharge and rejuvenate and get work done or just get meditation done and so forth. And so she has these pop-up events as she tests this concept before committing to a permanent space. So she's got another event she's looking at for the last 2 weeks of May. You can go to her website, lucybello.com, to get the latest information on that. You can also email her at newmexmarissa@gmail.com or call her at 505-235-0912. Again, that was for Marissa Nordstrom with Lucy Bello. The second guest was Lorraine Ellis with Better Money Decisions, and her book is Bozos, Monsters and Whiz-Bangs, Bad Advice from Financial Advisors and How to Avoid It. And I really found her delightful. I mean, you can really feel her passion. I hope you heard it in her voice as you were listening to her speak about how important it is for her for people to get sound advice. And that's what she's made her mission of the organization that she has, to help people really make smarter decisions with regard to their money so that they can retire with the life they want, or do and make better decisions with their money right now, even before retirement. And she can be contacted at 1-844-507-0961. You can also email them at wecanhelp@bettermoneydecisions.com. And then my final guest was Tayloria Grant with One Full Life. And she is such a well-rounded individual in terms of the services that she offers with her business, whether it's coaching or coaching specifically on marketing and getting your digital presence or your online presence more strongly established. She's offering a free 20-minute consultation or discovery session, as she called it. And you can find out more about that at onefullife.com. And so it was the power of women today, this week in the show. And I just love that because, as more women rise up, we help everybody else. Not that men don't, but I think this is really going to be the year of women. So that was our show. I also want to take this time to thank those of you who listen to us online who may not necessarily be in New Mexico. We've had some comments from past guests that they've actually gotten business from people out of state, and that's really exciting. So thank you for tuning in, listening to us not only in state, but those of you that are out of state finding us online. Continue to do that and share with people you know. Share with them about the show at 1050talk.com. You can listen live every Saturday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And just click on the Listen Live button. The other thing I want to thank you all for is your patience. Those of you who are regular listeners may have noticed that last week's show was an encore presentation of a previous show, the show that aired on April 7th. The reason for that is that I have been in recovery mode this entire month. Just to give you the Cliff Notes version, on April 4th, I had surgery on my right ear to restore hearing. I had suffered from a condition called otosclerosis, which causes the stapes in the inner ear to not function, and I had a 65% hearing loss. And so surgery is a remedy for it. I had the surgery, everything was going well. 2.5 days after the surgery, I got slammed with vertigo. And vertigo where I was, and if, this is a little gross, so you can tune out if you want to hear this, but I was throwing up and I couldn't stand up, and I ended up going by ambulance to the ER on Saturday evening and spent the whole rest of that day into 3:00 the next morning, just trying to get some relief. And anyway, I've still been dealing with the vertigo. I've gotten a little bit better. I saw my surgeon and some physical therapists last week who figured out through an evaluation that I'm dealing with a type of vertigo called BPPV. It's where, to describe it in layman's terms, or as I understand it, there are crystals and fluid in the inner part of the inner ear. And what happens is that the crystals sometimes get dislodged and end up where they're not supposed to be. And that is in the fluid of the inner ear. That's what's going on with me. Most people have it only in one ear or the other. I've got it going on in both. And so it has prevented me from living life to its fullest, including even being able to talk. Talking was causing dizziness. And so I'm getting better. I'm here this week and the show must go on. And so I just want to thank you all for your patience. If you didn't know that last week's show was a repeat or an encore presentation, well, thank you for tuning in. And for those of you who noticed it, that's why that happened. So I appreciate you tuning in every week and continue to tune in. I will be here. I might not be stable as I'm not really balanced today. It's been an interesting segment, but I made it through. And so thank you for tuning in. And any prayers, I will gladly take them because I really want to be better soon and back to normal. So that's our show for this week. Tune in every week here every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. It's Go Local Boom Radio here on 1050 KTBL and 1050talk.com. Catch you next week.